Rachel. Thanks for
Hi.
chatting with us.
Of course, I want to just start. I want to ask both of you, but Mike, it applies a little bit more from your end as from like going from something like Star Trek, where it is a little bit, it has to be a little bit more kid friendly-ish, to getting to then come back to Solar Opposites or right on a show where like, at least once a season, someone's getting some weird sex thing done to them.
Yeah, like an alien boogers eating you out or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some weird alien thing happening sexually. For you guys, how much fun is it to like kind of map that out where you're like, yeah, you know what? This is an animated show for adults. We can do absolutely unhinged things.
Well,
What
I'm just going to tell you right now, not to give anything away. We have an episode this year that is by far the dirtiest episode we have ever done. I don't,
Yeah,
it might be
it's
the
so
dirtiest
vile.
animated episode in the history of television. And I can't believe we got away with it. Every time I was like, really? There's no, okay, no notes.
Even we started to be like, this is a lot.
We cut
Um,
back a little bit. And for us to
a
say that,
little.
like,
There's only been a couple times we've done that. There was another episode where we fully had a sex scene, and I was like, I want you to draw the pubic hair. I want to see the areolas. And then like it came in, and I was like, we got to obscure all this stuff. It's so gross and weird. And then there was like another episode where a woman fully gave birth in a Pez dispenser, and I was like, I want this to be like educational. I want to see everything. And then everybody was like, how about just a little more than you usually see? And I was like, okay. But no, I mean, it is a blast. It feels kind of like like holidays are coming up, like when you go to Thanksgiving with your family and then you go out to the bar with your friends, it's kind of like that, where you're like, oh, this is great. I love being at the table with my family. Maybe not that uncle, but like the rest of them are great. And like, this is so good. I'm going to be on my best behavior. I can't swear around my mom. That's like working on Star Trek. And then working on Solar is like you left and you go to the bar and you're hanging out with your friends and you can be your honest, dirty self. And it's still you, right? Like you're still having a blast in both ways. But Solar is definitely like, it's like the id, right? Like it's like, you know, there's no barriers to the kind of stories you want to tell and the structure and the comedy and how gross you get. So because there are no barriers, the barrier ends up being, what do you actually want to do? What's worth telling? What's going to be surprising and fun? And in Star Trek, it was, how can we be funny and be Star Trek? So it was totally different kind of, situations, but both got to be sci-fi comedies, and I just love playing in that world.
I asked the cast this, and so I want to ask you guys as like creatives. One of my favorite things about animated shows in particular is basically a lot of the times characters are the same age. They never change. They're just like
Yeah.
that. Like, remember when Elmo gained half a year and we all were like, "Excuse me, Elmo,
Ah,
he's supposed to be three." But like it's like he's not animated, but you get it. It's like animated characters, especially, don't really get to age. But how is it for you guys to then figure out ways that they can change personally and like grow in other ways that's not, the typical aging that kind of comes with doing something
yeah.
like action or things like that?
I just think physical aging isn't as interesting on screen as emotional aging, right? Like seeing a character go from being like, I'm straight and I love work, and being like, ultimately ending up with being like, actually, I'm queer and I hate work, like that's more fun than somebody gets like a little bit of gray in their hair. Also, me and Josh are both bald, so we just slowly age like the pencil erasers. Like you can't even tell we're getting old. But but yeah, I think that like for us, we also get to do both. Like the wall, we have like a baby that's aging, you know what I mean? And like you're seeing it grow up. But then on the other side, the replicants are like Bart and Lisa, like they're not growing up. And because it's an animated show, nobody gives a fuck. You just get to have a good time. And it's like you don't realize what you have to do versus what is just going to be hand wavy until you get there, right? And like sometimes we'll get into the edit and be like, oh man, a year has passed. We better mark that. We better make sure people understand that. The other thing is that because our leads are aliens, at one point we had them turn into trees and die and then come back to life. Like we kind of get to do whatever we want. And as writers who, it used to be, and you're probably too young for this to register, but it used to be like in comic strips in the newspaper, you would have some strips, characters would get old and die and new characters would come in. Like, there were strips that kind of committed to that. And then there were strips like, Blondie, where like Dagwood would fall downstairs you know what I mean? And like, you had to be either one or the other. And because we don't have those constrictions or rules, we just decided to be both. Like some things are aging and you're following it along and some things aren't aging. And as long as you're enjoying it and you're laughing and you're having a great time and you feel like some progress is happening, then we've done our job.
Yeah. And how is that for you, Josh, getting to, lean into the, I don't want to call it tropes of animation where it's like you get characters who are just forever Tommy Pickles' age. But like, how is it to get to kind of mess with that a little bit on Solar Opposites?
It is Solar Opposites is a unique experience that may never come again, to be honest with you. Like the stuff we were able to do in terms of the wall and creating this highly serialized, very dramatic 6-season storyline, like you just don't see that on other animated shows. And so it's been a dream. It's been so much fun. But even as Mike said, like this season, the Solars lose their money, right? So all of a sudden, emotionally, they have to totally change. And if we hadn't done that, Terry would have never become a famous romantasy novelist. And the replicants, by the way, wouldn't have ever realized they were try-hard smart kids. And when is this coming out? Are we teasing things? Can we?
You can tease. I can wait. I can do whatever you want.
Because I mean, we have a thing at the end of the season where actually the replicants do move on and get into college. Right. So they're not just Bart and Lisa. And so I love that. Really what Mike said is this, we get to break all the rules and you just don't get to do that anymore in this.
Yeah, book. Rachel, that's the funny thing, too, is the more we were like the replicants don't age, then we started being like, but what if they did? You know what I mean? And so you get to have it all, which is very fun.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys really did when the Rugrats did the all grown up and we were like, actually.
Yeah.
I want to see these.
I don't know if I like them.
By the way, when we get more seasons of the show, the replicants will be right back at home. You know what I mean?
Like in a very meta way, I created the pupa because I had just had a baby, and the baby I had plays the voice of the pupa, and I've been watching him grow playing the pupa, but the pupa doesn't grow on screen. So like for me, it's really trippy.
You're like, that one's trippy. Well, thank you guys so much. I love the show. I can't wait for everyone else to get to see this final season, and thank you for talking with me today.
Thank you very much, Rachel. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a great one. We can start with you, Sean. Just go around a circle with you, and you can all answer this. But I love how raunchy this show is because I was unprepared. I saw a thing for it at Comic-Con last year, and I was like, oh, that's probably a nice little show for teenagers. And then got into it and was like, oh, no. And so what for you guys is the weirdest, raunchiest thing you guys have gotten to do on Solar Opposites that you were like, never thought I'd be doing this in an animated show?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've had a lot of sex with Thomas Middleditch on this show, which I was not expecting when I signed on. It has not been unpleasant. I'll say that, but yeah, that was a surprise to me.
Barry or Sean, do you guys have one that you were like, I can't believe this is my job?
I said the P word. I've never said the P word. You can't say the P word unless you're president of the United States.
That is true, unfortunately.
I had a wooden baby, and I had a fake wooden fake wooden part and a wooden wife, and we had a baby, and I wasn't expecting that, and it was with I'm pretty sure it was voiced by my TV mom, so that was kind of interesting too.
You're like, it's a full circle, kind of.
Yeah,
in its own weird way.
Yeah, disturbing circle.
Well,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, because Dan, obviously you took this on, you were kind of not mimicking someone else, but you were honoring what came before and making it your own. But you were also someone who is, an actor who people recognize your face and your voice in a lot of different roles. How is it though to get to kind of let that go for an animated thing and just do whatever you need to do for a character and not, people might not realize oh wait, shit, that's Dan Stevens and I didn't realize it until the credits started rolling.
Yeah, it's so fun. Every session in the booth with this show is just it's absolutely hilarious, but it's also quite cathartic. You get to kind of let out a lot of confusion and rage at the world, which is generally what the Solar Opposites are feeling most of the time. And Yeah, it's I'm always pulling weird faces and you know things that I would never normally do on camera. I get to do in the booth, and I get to show up and wear whatever I like. You know,
Like I don't have to dress up. But very, I wanted to ask you guys. You know, I love shows that have these characters who are kind of perpetually stuck at an age because it's like animation does it anyway. You're like that is the age these characters are for like all of time, and you have to kind of just deal with that. For you guys, how much fun is it to find ways to make those characters grow throughout the years, even though like, you know, they go through a lot of stuff, but like most of the time people are seeing them and kind of picturing them the same way throughout 6 seasons of a show, but you as actors get to kind of add little things in.
Well, I feel like for me, I like we'll learn about their maturity levels in this season, and then there's like Young Mack really started off as real. Oh, whoa!
making another entrance. Sorry.
I'm freezing up, so I'm trying. I'm trying whatever is this thing. I am so sorry, Rachel. If I'll call you at your house if you need me to. So, is that a question for me at all?
It was okay. It was worth it to watch it go out and then you run into frame.
Yeah.
Made it worse.
Also,
Sorry.
when being asked, how do you stay the same age? And you were just completely frozen. I was like, oh, well, there's your answer.
Then there was.
Yeah, isn't that nice? So the question was about if we are happy to stay immortalized as one age in our show.
Basically, and like how do you as an actor let that grow within your character throughout the seasons?
I think Sean always is great at answering these questions.
No. Oh, yes, yeah. I feel like staying the same age is fun and cool, and it lets you stay, like, it kind of makes you know where you're supposed to be at. But then, but they do a lot of fun. There's a lot of changes. I used to be a real bad guy on the show, but now it kind of progressively becomes nicer in some ways. But there's always more ways to be a bad guy, so then I find those out. And then Jesse having the partnership there, it's just like, yeah, good times.
I mean, there's a sad undertone of staying the same age in a cartoon because, you know, for a long time, women could only get roles when they looked young. And so I'd like to bring it down to the meat and potatoes of this, which is it's fantastic for a lady to get to be the same age in a cartoon because there's not a lot of people in Hollywood area put a lot of emphasis on looking younger. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you notice that the moms in the Subaru commercials have 4 kids and they're 19 years old.
This is true. But we also have a woman who has been playing Tommy Pickles for my entire life. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
You're queen.
Yeah. So isn't that in animation? Isn't it cool? You can just be the age that your voice sounds, and that's like the best thing ever. Is that you could just always be that age. So. Shame on society. Thank you for cartoon. Thank you, animation. Shame on society. That's the big takeaway here.
Yeah, that's the takeaway from this interview. Shame on society. Yay, animation.
Yeah.
That's solar opposites in a nutshell. There, I think.
That's what they're going to put on the posters now. Is shame on society.
Shame on society. Yay, animation. Solar opposites.
Solar opposites season 6. Well, thank you guys for talking with me today. I really appreciate it. I'm glad I watched this show that is not for teenagers and is in fact all about a lot of other things. And thank you guys. I really appreciate your time.
You rock, Rachel. If I screwed anything up, I'll do it all over again. I apologize so much. Thank you for doing what you do.
Okay, it rolled. Thank you. Have a great one, guys.
Bye.
Bye, Rachel. Thank you.
Bye.